Hi, this is Patricia Coughlin again. I'm going to continue talking to you about guilt and how to facilitate the healthy experience of guilt using, again, the portrait, or what we might call visualization. I made two other videos on this same topic. They both got destroyed when I tried to upload them to YouTube, so I hope this one goes through. So what we're really talking about here is the unconscious sense of guilt that is often the driver to the self-destructive behavior patterns we're seeing in our patients. So it's especially in those patients, right, who are, mistreating themselves physically, who engage in destructive relationships where they're used and abused, who are getting, kicked out of school and fired from jobs, right? They have this history of self-destructiveness, right? And in these cases, it is most important to actually access this previously unconscious sense of guilt, which is actually demanding that self-punishment. So we're not going to be looking at guilt until the patient has already experienced the previously warded off rage toward loved ones. So, some people were writing after the last video asking about things that are really the patient's conscious sense of guilt, or what we might call neurotic guilt, feeling guilty about what someone else did or guilty about some minor infraction. So, again, we're really talking about helping patients access, experience, and integrate their really mixed feelings toward others. And we're going to only do this when the feelings are anxiety laden. We don't just go after feelings for the heck of it, but when we see that the patient is becoming anxious and starting to defend, right, that's our indication that there is emotional conflict. And again, this is going to be in particular in situations that give rise to the patient's symptoms, whether it's an anxiety attack or depression or whatever it might be. So it's in those very specific situations that we're going to begin to inquire about the patient's feelings toward the other people involved. And it's after having that experience of anger and rage that we are going to want to help the patient also access their guilt about their own destructiveness. Now, as I said previously, this is really the hardest feeling for us to tolerate. And patients are motivated to avoid it. So even after they might experience an intense rage, I'm thinking about the cold-blooded businessman, right, who wanted to rape me and beat me and just leave me sort of in a ditch. And then he was just going to be, done with me and wanting to walk off. So this will often happen, that people who have suppressed rage, when they initially experience it, they're kind of happy with that and they want to just end it there. But we know we don't want to do that, right? It's very rare, occasionally, but rare, that a patient is just inhibited around anger, and that once they can access it, it immediately goes into a healthy pathway, right? In most cases, again, we're talking about really complex mixed feelings, and it's difficult for us to tolerate that. So do not allow patients just to say, I'm angry, I'm going to beat you up, kill you, whatever, and leave you there. I'll say not so fast. Okay, before you leave, right, if you have a look at me, right, and what has happened to me and how you feel toward me now that this rage has passed through. So again, in that case of the cold-blooded businessman, this was really crucial because there was a question about whether he really had a narcissistic personality structure or had just been relying on narcissistic defenses. And this was really the make it or break it. I mean, if he couldn't experience guilt, if he had no empathy for me, then this was going to be a pretty dire prognosis. So again, he really resisted this guilt when I asked him how he felt, toward me now, and what did he imagine I had experienced in this assault. And he said, oh, what, like I'm supposed to feel bad now? And I said, it's not about what you're supposed to feel. It's what do you actually feel? So again, he was really resisting that. And then, thank goodness, the unconscious alliance came to the fore, and he said, that's what I'm saying, but look at my hands. And then he looked at them and he said, oh my God, what did I just do to you? You've done nothing but try to help me. You know, might doesn't make right. And that phrase, right, really perked up my third ear. And I said, who are you talking to? And he said, my mother, right, who had really brutalized him, right? So then we had the link. I'm thinking of another clinical example of a patient who, you know, in response to the defense work became angry with me. A rage was mobilized. She had the impulse to strangle me and just squeeze the life right out of me. And initially, she said this felt wonderful. And she experienced really some sadistic satisfaction in letting me have it. And this is something that sometimes comes up and you can't skip over it, right? If you do, again, you're going to be blocked in getting to the guilt because they haven't really experienced the sadism. So she felt just absolutely triumphant, and she said, I feel victorious, I feel fabulous, and then I'm devastated. Right, so it was only after that sadistic satisfaction that this deep, deep well of guilt emerged. And so in the portraying, right, I want to help guilt go into a healthy pathway, to be connected to care and concern, and to promote repair, right, instead of being defended against by wanting to attack or punish the self. So when I asked this woman, what does that guilt want to do? She said, I would have to kill myself. And she had, in fact, been previously hospitalized for suicidal ideation. So this had to be sorted out, right? The difference between her healthy guilt and concern versus this need to punish the self. So I just said to her, but that would be to punish you, right? I mean, that doesn't help me, right? Because the fact that you're guilty suggests you have some positive feelings toward me also. And so at that point, right, she was able to really feel this guilt and the desire to somehow bring me back or repair. She really was crying and said, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't meant for you. So again, right, I'm hearing the link. So who was that rage really meant for? And again, in this case, it was her mother, right? So again, the portraying of the guilt, it's not enough for them just to feel it, right? Just the same as other feelings, but really to get in touch with the action tendency, right? The emotion, right? What motion or behavior that feeling tends to motivate, right? So we're wanting to help the patient feel the feeling without having to defend against it by justifying or punishing the self, and that expression of guilt be connected to love and concern and actually promote repair. Okay, so I hope this helps. I am off on 2 weeks holiday, so I will see you in September. Thanks.